Oh, you're recording this. Hang on 1 second. Let me switch this up a bit. It's out. Okay, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
all set.
Had to pull my microphone out.
Okay, what's up, guys? Very first interview with a member of Illuminati as well, just as much as a nerd in a good way as myself, Joe, the rest of the Illuminati. Why don't you introduce yourself for people who may not know who you are?
All right, so what's up, guys? I'm Blackwing2040. I have my own YouTube channel. I've been doing YouTube for pretty much 6 years now. No, wait, no, not six, 7. This year makes 7 years. Whew. So of course, it's been a hard, a good run. And of course, like you said, I'm unapologetic about my nerddom. I love Star Wars. I love DC, Marvel, Power Rangers. I love anime. I love Disney. Transformers. I love it, and I'm not afraid to admit that. Really, I'm not.
I I agree, and I think nowadays oh it's perfectly fine to be into the stuff that you're into because when I was a kid, I loved Power Rangers, but then I wouldn't really acknowledge it as much as I do now, just because I felt like I would get made fun of because of it.
Yeah,
Like I have some of the DVDs, and I had the Chip, the Yellow Ranger. I had one of the toys, the Mystic Force toys, when I was a kid. Back then, I loved it. I kind of fell off after Overdrive, but then when Saban brought it back, I kind of started watching it again when they showed when Nicktoons was airing all the old episodes.
yeah, yep.
Time Force was the season that brought me back to Power Rangers because I watched the whole marathon of that when they aired it on Nicktoons, and I
Yep.
absolutely loved it.
That was actually when they aired that marathon on Nixon's. That was actually the first time I watched Time Force from beginning all the way to the end. Because of course, back when it used to air on ABC Family and Saturday mornings, because ABC Family used to do this whole stick called the Best of Power Rangers. They would air Wild Force on Saturdays because Wild Force was airing at the time, and then on Sunday they would just go through a slew of Power Ranger season. They would do like an episode of Mighty Morphin, episode of Zeo, Turbo in Space, and so on and so on. So to be able to watch Time Force from beginning to end that year in I believe it was 2011, 2012. That was a really great chance to watch my favorite season of all time.
Right. And Time Force, are you a Dragon Ball Z fan?
Oh, sure, Biggs. That's my favorite anime of all time. Biggs, of course. You kidding?
It's funny because I've always this might be just me, but I've always thought Wes and Eric's relationship kind of remind me of Goku.
Goku and Vegeta.
Yeah, Wes was Goku and Eric was Vegeta, and they kind of had that. Uh,
It's kind of similar like that. No one ever. I'm surprised no one ever pointed that out before. That's a very good observation there because Eric, he can be prideful at times. Wes, he's very down to earth, and same thing with Goku. Goku's very down to earth and very protecting of people. Vegeta, his development is different. Vegeta starts off evil, very prideful and everything, but as the series goes on, he becomes more of a family man, but he's still, prideful at the same time.
right. And one thing that I know that I've seen some of your stuff on Instagram and stuff, and I know you're into you know voice that you want to get into voice acting and um stage playing all that. What made you want to get into voice acting or pursue acting just in general?
Well, voice acting, I just found that so much fun because it's just, it's just you in front of a microphone just voicing a character. Is like there's no cameras, there's no audience, you're just in a booth recording, just yucking it up with your castmates and everything. I just found that so much fun because I found growing up, I would always be watching, Disney animated movies all the time, and then I would always like know the parts, know what lines to say when it happened. So I guess pretty much on I had grown up, I had good, memorization skills when it comes to, script lines, movie lines. And originally I didn't want to do acting because I had massive, massive stage fright as a young kid. And overall I overcame that fear, and when I did my first ever on stage school play back in high school, I found like, hey, this is actually pretty fun. This is and people told me that I'm really good at it, so like, why not just do it? So with the voice acting thing, I realize how fun it is through like, I've seen some behind the scenes stuff. I met, famous voice actors like Tara Strong, Kevin Conroy, Phil Lamar, and a whole slew of voice actors that you could probably name off the top of the list. And really, when I see them and just interacting with them, it just shows you like, they're people just like us. This is just their job, but they just have so much fun doing it. It's just like money's like the last thing that's on their mind. So I found that, doing something like this is just, it's fun, it's hilarious. You could just act however way you want to. You're just creating a character with your voice, and you're just having the best time ever. Really, like one thing I've been taught is that, when you feel like, when you enjoy what you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life ever again.
Amen to that. I feel that it it that definitely like I feel what you're saying. I definitely do want to be a actor. Well, not really actor. I want to be more so behind the scenes. I want to produce, write, and direct. Like I have a few movie and TV show ideas. Like I would love to work for Disney Plus. Like I even have a few Marvel TV show ideas, Marvel cartoon TV show ideas because I feel like they're lacking in.
Yeah, they're very lacking in the, well, because I could say why they're lacking in that is because, Disney is a family brand, so the fact that everything is basically, cheesed, that's pretty much the reason why, because it's a big brand of an audience that you have to incorporate to, every single person. You got to incorporate to the small kids, you got to incorporate to your young adults, and I guess for the adults, pretty much the MCU films, that's basically for everybody now because, back growing up, movie ratings, you're only allowed to see PG and PG-13 movies. Now, people be take families just be bringing their kids into MCU movies without a care in the world. Just like, it's a family movie, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Let's see. Control plus. Okay. And with how speaking of the MCU, um, I'm more Marvel. My brother is more DC, but I know you do a lot of comic book reading on your channel. What are you currently reading at the moment?
Uh, well, I when it comes to comic book reading, it's hard to just, balance it out because I have a collection of graphic novels, and I also have a slew of books on digital on my Marvel Comics app and my DC Comics app, and as well as, other corporations. Like I've been reading the Boom Studios Power Rangers book when that first came out. I started reading IDW books, meaning I started reading Ninja Turtles, which is cool, by the way, and also Sonic the Hedgehog from IDW. So I've been branching out my stuff outside of the, the big two. I wanted to read other things besides DC and Marvel, but it's a lot to read all the current stuff and also read some of the older stuff, because reading the older stuff you get more of an insight, you get pulled into the story, while the current stuff, it's just, you got to keep up with so many things. It's hard to keep up with.
I agree with that, especially with the new 52. I mean, it's so confusing. I mean, they just ruined everything.
Funny that you say that, is the New 52 was how I pretty much got into comics, and I noticed how different it was with all the Superman's suit looks different. Martian Manhunter wasn't on the Justice League. The Teen Titans look different. Nightwing's suit was red. I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. What's going on here? Where's the traditional looks? What happened? So it was a drastic change that I did not know what was going on at the time. But of course, I research. I know finally know like how the history of the DC Comics universe, why they did the New 52 was pretty much a relaunch to bring in new readers. So I could say they did a good job trying to get me into that universe, but of course it was a hard universe to sit through for like about what 4 years. It was no, I'm wrong. It was 5 years, 2011 to 2016.
But if I keep looking down, I'm just looking at my phone. I'm trying to figure out. This is my first time using Zoom, so I'm just trying to figure out how to make my screen bigger.
Oh, gotcha.
But but which side are you, Marvel or DC, or do you like them both equally?
I like them both equally, but I have to say I'm a DC guy more because DC goes above and beyond, and their universe is just basically like, it's just basically like, it's like gods among men, and just a wide variety of legacy characters like the Teen Titans and the Justice Society. And of course, DC has like a big slew library of villains that have like the biggest, best villains galleries ever. And with Marvel, I mean, I love Marvel. It's just, sometimes I guess I could say before the whole Disney purchase, Marvel became more grounded in a way, but I still love Marvel regardless. Spider-Man is my all-time favorite superhero of all time in Marvel, and I love, the X-Men. I wasn't the biggest Avengers fan until, the Avengers movie came out, so now I can say, okay, I can say I'm a fan of the Avengers, but I still love the Justice League more than the Avengers though. So I can definitely say that for a fact.
Right. And with there were with the MCU, I feel as if there were so many opportunities that they could have done a team up with the TV series and the movie, but I mean there were so many movies that they could have had the Agents of Shield cast members do a team up with the movie. Like they could have had them in Winter Soldier. That would have made sense with the whole Hydra twist. Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. One thing that confused me about Endgame was that it was what was the how many years went by?
I think it was 5 years later, I believe. Either 3 or 5 years. I haven't watched Endgame since last year, I believe. Yeah, last year was the last time I watched Endgame.
Yeah, but I find it hard to believe it was that long until it was that long and they didn't have reinforcements. I mean, that didn't make any sense to me.
I kind of mean when a group of heroes who have like a streak of winning take a big loss like that, it does have some repercussions, emotionally, mental repercussions. It hurts. It's a tough loss because trust me, when they lost, it felt like all the fans just got, a knife stabbed through their heart. It's basically felt like they lost, it felt like we lost. So their loss is basically like our loss. The whole world lost.
Right. And this is just my preference, but I do think that Infinity War is better than Endgame.
I believe that too. I say that too because Infinity War had such a big Infinity War felt like it was like I was reading a live action comic book crossover on the screen. Like you have chapter one, well, prologue in space, Thanos shows up, and then you have chapter one in New York, and then chapter two, we're in space with the Guardians, and then chapter three, and it felt like a live action comic book event on the screen. And I like that. It was really cool.
Right. With Endgame, um, it was okay. I do kind of wish that they would have gotten that Oscar for the best suits. I was so upset. No, I think it was best visual effects they were
Yeah,
nominated.
they were always nominated for best visual effects. I know people wanted them to be nominated for best picture, but you can't always get what you wanted. The Oscars, they don't always care about superhero movies. I mean, I know Black Panther got nominated for best picture and it did win three Oscars, but a superhero movie winning best picture, that's one out of a million chances.
Yeah, and one of my biggest problems with the Oscars is that they always give it's a white award show, of course.
Yes.
Only give black actors awards if we're playing to stereotypes.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a slave, you get an award. If you play a slave, you get an award. Like Lupita Nyong'o, her she played in 12 Years a Slave,
Yep.
and she got an Oscar for that. And not that she didn't do a great job. I love Lupita Nyong'o. She's one of my celebrity crushes. I call her my African queen.
Hey, she beauty. She's a queen. She's a queen in real life, for real.
Yeah, but I still find it shady that we don't get Oscars if we only play a drug dealer or a slave or a crooked cop like Denzel in Training Day.
Yeah, yeah.
What I guess what I'm trying to say is I think we need more Oscars for roles like uh, a cop or lawyer or boxer or a superhero.
Right.
Like Chadwick Boseman in 42 was
Jackie Robinson.
yeah, amazing movie by the way.
I could definitely see your point because, for instance, like Denzel got nominated for for Fences. He didn't win that. He got nominated for, I believe, Roman J. P, Roman Pierce J. Pierce Esquire, and he didn't win that role either. So it's hard. It's definitely is hard for people of color to get that. Heck, getting nominated is one thing. Winning that award, that's a competition within itself because there's always one person of color in a nomination out of five people. It's never two people of color. It's always one.
Right. And if I did win one, I would not want it to be for some role that I just happen to cater to stereotypes. Like if
Right.
I won one for being a drug dealer, I would kind of feel insulted that I even won the award. I mean, just give it to somebody else.
Yeah, definitely because there's a lot of roles that's been given to you have black actors who played boxers with like Michael B. Jordan with what's the
Great.
name of that? There we go, Creed. I was like, what's the name of that movie? Creed. You have, Will Smith, who's played a slew of characters. He's played an alien hunter. He played a military man. He played a real life biopic in The Pursuit of Happiness. He's played so many roles. I just feel like he still hasn't gotten his just rewards yet. I mean, he's the biggest movie star on the planet, but I'm just like, ain't it about time Will got an Oscar? Because Will has been, I feel like he's been slept on for way too long now.
Right. That's exactly how I feel about Leonardo DiCaprio. He's one of my
Yeah, yeah,
favorite actors of all time, but they gave him an Oscar for The Revenant,
yep.
and not to take anything away from his performance with that movie. That was a great movie, but in my opinion, he should have won an Oscar for Wolf of Wall Street and not for that movie.
Oh yeah, most definitely. He really should, especially the way his performance in The Wolf of Wall Street. He sounded totally different. I do not know how Leo does it, but he's able to just straight up take the role that he's given and just immediately just change himself. Like it works.
Right. I That's probably one of my favorite movies of all time and one of my favorite performances of his of all time. And I think that when I watched it for the first time, I watched it for the first time earlier this year, and the whole time I was thinking, "Am I watching a movie or porno?" Because there was so much graphic stuff in it, I didn't even realize that um, that movie was actually banned in maybe like a few other countries because they had so much explicit scenes and drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. It was just crazy.
Hmm. But I can definitely say one person who's also left out on this is Samuel Jackson because that man is like in his 70s and he still has not won an Oscar yet. He got nominated for some, of course, especially in Pulp Fiction, but of course that award was given to John Travolta. And the fact that Samuel has done so many films, of course, I can say he's also pretty much been stereotyped a lot, just playing that one black guy in the movie. Or if he's in a Spike Lee project, he's also, because Spike Lee loves to use Samuel Jackson in his films. But I just feel like Sam is so. We just, of course, most people know him today as Nick Fury. Some people know him as, Mace Windu from Star Wars. I just feel, give this man his award. Just give it to him. Give him the nomination again, please. Trust me. I feel like the time whenever, God forbid, whenever his time comes and he leaves, I feel like it's gonna be too late.
Exactly. That's the Grammys are also like that as well. They only give it to the people that they think deserve it, and
Right.
and they always pass up amazing black artists all the time. And I don't even remember the last time an African American artist won album of the year at the Grammys.
Yeah, well, with the I don't really watch the Grammys as much because I don't listen to today's music as much either. But with the Grammys, I mean, sometimes I will just watch the Grammys just to see who's performing. If I see like an artist, because I'm an old soul when it comes to music, or if it's an artist that I know, then I would watch, their performance. But really, I don't really watch the Grammys pretty much anymore.
I didn't watch it this year. I saw clips of it on YouTube, but I think I think I'm pretty much done with that, mainly because of and I think I'm pretty much mainly done with the Oscars as well because they gave Best Actress to Renee Zellweger um, instead of giving it to what's her name, Scarlett Johansson for, I think she was nominated for Jojo Rabbit, either Jojo Rabbit or The Marriage Story.
I think she was married. I think the Marriage Story, I believe.
But if you haven't seen that, you should check it out because that movie was amazing.
Wait,
But
Jojo Rabbit or the Marriage Story?
well, both of them.
Well, yeah, because I know Jojo Rabbit was like a satire of a film, especially when you have Taika Waititi just creating a film that's a satire of Nazis and Hitler. I was like, yeah, this is something Taika Waititi would do.
Yeah. But what are some movies that have came out this year? There haven't really been a whole lot of stuff I've been watching. I've just been rewatching a lot of old stuff. But what are some movies that are coming out that have came out this year that we've been able to see that you've seen that you really liked?
Well, the last movie I saw in theaters was Sonic the Hedgehog, and that was back in February, way back in February. This was back when before this whole pandemic happened. I think that was also the first movie of the year that I watched because I had a long list. The first movie I wanted to see this year was Bad Boys 3, but I missed out on Bad Boys 3. But
Mm.
I did end up seeing Sonic, so the fact that so many movies on my list got, pushed back or just pretty much got, moved to another date. I mean, New Mutants was on my list, but of course people could only see it through drive-in theaters. I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying. I'm staying in. at this point, I'll just pass on New Mutants. I'll just wait till it gets to like Blu-ray or puts up on streaming service, I can wait. I waited this long for that movie to come out. I can wait longer. I don't mind
Right.
waiting.
Like I pretty much, when it comes to X-Men, I pretty much gave up after Logan. That was when it ended for me. But
I
in my opinion, I think they should have ended it after Days of Futures Past, because that was when everything, like they pretty much fixed all of their plot holes and everything like that. So
yeah, yeah.
it was a great way to end off. But Apocalypse, it was just messy all over the place. It kind of like, it was like they didn't really know what to do, and Apocalypse looked like Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers.
I saw the memes. Yep, I saw the memes all across the internet. Like, yo, why does Apocalypse look like Ivan Ooze from Power Rangers? I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's just the lighting effect, which it was just the lighting effect. Really, Apocalypse is just straight up blue. But yeah, to agree with what you're saying, Apocalypse, it ain't that great. Like, so many characters kick the bucket, so many characters underutilized, like Jubilee, and it's just I still to this day have not watched Dark Phoenix. I refuse to, but at some point I may just have to watch it and just see like, all right, what happened here? I'm like, you know what? Don't ever do this again. Don't ever do this again. Don't touch it. Don't look at it. Don't even think about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I still, it's been a year or two, and I still haven't seen Dark Phoenix, and I agree with you. I don't want to. I don't need to see it. I wasn't even happy about it when it came out. I was just like, oh,
I
okay,
knew it
well,
was gonna suck. I really like. I had a friend tell me that it sucked. I was like, I knew it. I knew it. I knew once they were gonna do that storyline again, they were in big trouble. I knew it. I knew it.
that's exactly how I felt about Venom. Like a lot of people praise Venom. I think
Now
Venom's
Venom on the other hand, I was okay with it. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was like in between. It's like one of those Marvel movies that you feel like if it came out during like the 90s or the early 2000s, like the early boom of superhero movies, I feel like Venom would have stood out well then. But of course now people are just like, "Oh, where's Spider-Man? Why are you doing Venom? Like Venom is supposed to be with Spider-Man." I'm like, I know. But sometimes you got to realize not everything is going to be exactly the way like the books. Not everyone's going to respect the source material. It's sad but true.
right. Like I didn't even I wasn't even gonna pay to see the movie. I was like, I am not gonna support Sony for potentially ruining one of the best Spider-Man villains. So I just watched it on my Fire Stick. I watched it only one time when the since the movie has came out, and I am not gonna go back and watch it. I did a review of it on my channel, and it is just God. The CGI is the CGI is terrible. The villain isn't that great. The humor is kind of cringe. It kind of feels like I'm watching Catwoman, Tom Hardy in it.
I mean, I like the whole bond between the comedic banter between Eddie and the symbiote. That's comedic banter with that. Of course, I feel like that's something that's never been done before. Of course, yes, it felt. I guess you could say it felt forced, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't really have a problem with the CGI either. Of course, everyone was like they were teasing, the other symbiotes, which you could see in the movie. Of course, they made just another symbiote, a very unpopular symbiote that not everyone knows about, the main villain of the movie. I'm like, okay, it's first of all, it's Venom's first run in a solo movie, so I can't really expect them to go, all out. So I just like, all right, just do what you do.
Right. Like with regarding Spider-Man, I'm pretty sure you just heard the news that Jamie Foxx is returning as Electro.
Yep.
So what's your take on that, and how did you feel about the Amazing Spider-Man series? Because um I had I was one of those fans that had high hopes for it,
Hmm.
but in the end, um, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think that was the second superhero movie I walked out of and was disappointed by. The first one, actually, no, it was the third one. The first two were Iron Man 3 and Thor the Dark World.
Okay, well, Iron Man 3, I can definitely say I was disappointed. I walked out disappointed because of the whole Mandarin ish.
Oh, God, that still
but
pisses me off.
but nowadays I'm just like Iron Man 3, yes, it's that has that one mistake, but I can tell it shows good development for Tony on the other hand. So I can definitely say Iron Man 3 is pretty good of a film. Now, Amazing Spider-Man 2, on the other hand, I felt like I was playing myself a failure because I walked out of that theater thinking like, oh, this was great. And then that ending happened. I'm just like, that's a weird way to end a superhero movie, like right mid battle and then just cut it, just fade to black. I'm just like, okay. And it's just, I'm like, now that I rewatched it probably like twice, I can see the mishaps. I'm like, yeah, Sony was really trying to tease that whole Sinister Six. It's just like Amazing Spider-Man 2, but just scribble it out and just put Sinister Six incoming at the end, like at the bottom of the title. I'm just like, y'all shouldn't just. It was messy. There was too many plot lines. It was just so many things happening at once. Of course, they had to cut Mary Jane out of the movie, so there was so many things that they were going for that they just it was a mess. It was a mess of a film.
Right, I agree. And one of my biggest gripes with Amazing Spider-Man series was that he that they tried to pin everything on Oscorp. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
my biggest problem, like Oscorp is responsible for some things, but not everything.
Everything. Yeah, because first of all, killing off Norman Osborn, I'm surprised that didn't click in my head. I'm just like, wait a minute, Norman Osborn is the first Green Goblin. I'm like, you're killing off the original Green Goblin. There's a problem with that. That's not supposed to happen. Because like you're
Right.
killing off Spider-Man's greatest enemy ever, and
Mhm.
then you're just passing off the torch to Harry. I'm like, that's not supposed to happen. It's like it's like Sony, did you not pay attention to when you did this the first time? It ended up perfectly, but what you're doing now, you're doing the total reverse.
Right. And they completely ruined Gwen's death. Um, um, if it was Norman that did it, I would have been fine with it. If they would have built up to the death a lot better than how they did, then I would have been fine with it. Like if Goblin was the only villain in the movie, and if the Goblin was Norman instead of Harry, then I would have been fine with it. But they had way too many cooks in the kitchen in that
Yeah.
movie. That's what hurt it.
Yep. That's what happens when you have too many cooks in the kitchen. The movie ends up being pretty much a flop.
Right. And I love Dane DeHaan. Dane DeHaan is pretty cool. I see bright future in him, but he was practically given
I did not like his Harry Osborn performance. I'm no disrespect to the actor, I just didn't like his performance as Harry. He seemed too stoic, brooding, so emo. I'm just like, Harry ain't that emotional. Like, gosh, I know he has dad issues, but he doesn't have this many issues, of course.
right. Like I think he was given I, I say this a lot, but he was given tuna salad and had to turn it to uh he had to turn chicken ish into chicken salad, if that makes sense.
Right, right, right. It wasn't that great.
Right. And I had a feeling that they weren't that there was not going to be an Amazing Spider-Man 2 as soon as they pushed it back to 2018. I was like, "Oh, there's not going to be a third one."
Yeah, third one is definitely out of the books.
And I don't know if you noticed this, but there's also a 10-year gap between all of the movies, like the original Spider-Man 2002, Amazing Spider-Man 2012, Spider-Man 2 2004, Amazing Spider-Man 2 2000.
Wow, I did not even notice that. I did not even think about that. That never crossed my mind. That is so crazy.
Right, and now that I really do hope that Disney buys the rights back, buys the rights from Spider-Man back from Sony, because I want to see Spectacular Spider-Man come back.
Saying you're not the only one. Trust me. I've been binge watching that show. I've binge watched that show like 3 times from beginning to end. I'm just like, this has got to be compared to like, the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. Those two Spider-Man cartoons are pretty much the top tier Spider-Man cartoons. If anything, I would say Spectacular really sticks to the roots of the comic book of Spider-Man. I'm just like, this is like pulled right from the book.
Right, exactly. And I one thing I also loved about the series is how the villains get their names.
Yep, yep. And
Like
it kind of how it starts out, like how Norman is slowly basically like making the villains and everything. Some of the villains happen by accident.
right. Like he called in the first episode uh Vulture. um he was like, I think he said something like, I am what you called me, I'm Vulture. He
A
was like,
buzzard. He called him a buzzard. There we go.
yeah.
I was like, Norman Osborn called him a buzzard.
And Peter gave Electro his name. He was like, I'm no longer Max Dillon. Would you call me? And he was like, Lightning Butt. He was like, no, not that. Electro. So I
Yep,
like I like the playful banter and the one liners
yep.
in the show, because that feels a lot like Spider-Man esque. I feel like when I watch the newer movies with Tom Holland, I'm kind of getting that with the Spectacular series. I wish he do more like one-liners in the suit and stuff, but
Mm.
other than that, I would say he's the best Spider-Man, Peter Parker Spider-Man. Um, if you include Spectacular, then I would say he's one of the best, including the actor who voiced him in Spectacular.
Oh, Josh Keaton. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know they push back um Spider-Man, the next Spider-Man, till next year. It's not coming out till sometime next year. So, what are your expectations for Phase 4? What do you want to see in Phase 4?
Well, Phase 4 is pretty much at a standstill because of this pandemic. So I don't know. First of all, I don't know if Black Widow is gonna suffer from all this, pushing back and everything. I hope they don't, touch up anything or anything to fix it or do any reshoots or nothing, because I know the movie is finished. They just need to release it. I just hope they do not, you know, do anything final touches to it. If you're finished with it, good. I know for Eternals, I think they finished filming for Eternals, if I'm correct. But for Phase 4, I really don't. I think this break from the MCU, I think it's well deserved, because after Endgame and Far From Home, I'm like, okay, I need a break from the MCU. Like, I need a long needed break. So this whole MCU pause that we're getting this year with the whole pandemic, I find it kind of rewarding, because it gives me a chance to just like come back, refresh, and then whenever Phase 4 begins, we can start things back up again. But expectations for Phase 4, I just say surprise me. I don't like to have any expectations. I just be like, surprise me. That's all. That's my 2 words. Anytime if I have like expectations for something, I try not to. I just say, surprise me.
Right.
Show me what you
Like,
got.
oh God, hold up. Oh Lord, speakerphone. God, sorry about that. Like I think that, like, I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to the since Disney just purchased Fox, I'm really excited for Fantastic Four and X Men to be introduced in the MCU because I feel like they haven't been done right with.
Fox doesn't know the point of X-Men. They really don't.
Right. Like they constantly change up the group, which is fine, and they do all these reboots. I feel like it hurts it more than helps it.
Yeah, because the X-Men franchise, like they started off good with X-Men, and then X2 happened, and then they took a big dive. X-Men Origins Wolverine made them dive a little deeper into the ground. And then First Class came around, we kind of slowly inclined back up. Then we got the Wolverine. That kind of, I guess, I never really hear people's opinions on the Wolverine. Some people like it, some people don't like it. I like the Wolverine because it's Wolverine in Japan. How cool is that? And then Days of Future Past brought it all the way back up hype again. Apocalypse brought it back down. Deadpool kind of brought it back up a little bit. It's it's such an incline with the X-Men franchise. It's very wonky. They don't know how to stay on a straight path and keep getting better and better and better.
Yeah, kind of like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It has its ups and it has its downs. But it's funny because when Chris Evans first came into the MCU, I did not know that he played Human Torch in Fantastic Four. I didn't put those two together.
Yeah, that never crossed my mind at that time. And because I remember I was going to the movies and I see Chris Evans on the screen. And I'm like, he's going to be playing Captain America. And then I was watching Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. I was like, wait a minute, that it clicked in my mind. I'm like, oh, that's what's going on here.
Right. Like I've been reading up some Fantastic Four comics recently just to get a better feel from the characters from itself. There's a lot of stuff that they can do with them, and I feel like they Fox definitely didn't know the characters. We all know what their story is. The 2015 version, oh god, that was terrible.
I'm never watching that movie again. Ever watching that movie again.
And it sucks because it had promise, but there were, I heard there was some tension between Josh Trank and the studio, and oh, he came to the studio drunk or whatever, or something like that. There was just a whole like tug of war with that movie, and one of the biggest problems was that I think the movie was too short. It didn't. I mean, it felt like I was watching like a a TV special on like one of those CW shows,
But yeah,
and the CGI was really terrible.
I can say that one thing that really disappointing was, again, they can't seem to get Doctor Doom right. They can never get Doctor Doom right. And when just the way how Doctor Doom was using his powers in the 2015 movie, I'm like, those are terrible. I'm like, those are terrible effects. I could tell those are not the best effects I've seen for Doctor Doom ever. Because even the 2000 movies did way better job with the effects for Doctor Doom than this travesty of a film.
Right. And but since a lot of fans are kind of hoping that the married couple in A Quiet Place will play
Oh,
the
John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. I mean, well, since Reed Richards has that big beard now in the comics, I don't think he's shaving that anytime soon. So I guess they could pull. I really think they could pull it off. I really think they could kind of pull it off. And as long as they got, as long as they can like get the family aspect of the Fantastic Four down, because I feel like in the 2000s it was kind of there. It kind of was there, but not all around there. It's just there was a lot. First movie had Ben dealing with, he didn't want to live like, a pile of rocks for the rest of his life. And now the second movie he had to deal with the Galactus trilogy and everything. And it's just, as long as you get the family dynamic of the Fantastic Four right, you pretty much understand the characters. They're not just, yeah, they're like a team of superheroes that fight evil. They're more than that. They're literally explorers. Like they explore science. They're very pretty much the scientific team for Marvel. Like they do the impossible. They travel to different dimensions, other universes. Like they explore. They dig deeper into things. They look for answers.
Right, I agree, and I am really looking forward to who the cast will be if they do cast them as Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic. If they do cast them as um, Reed Richards and um, Invisible Woman, then who would you want to be cast as Thing and Human Torch?
I really don't have like a lot of people are saying Zac Efron would be the perfect choice for Human Torch. I'm just like, I can't see Zac Efron in a superhero role. So I'm not really good when it comes to fan casting. I just need to like whoever gets cast, I need to see them in action, see what to make my final opinion. But I don't really have any picks for who should play Thing in Human Torch.
Right. I understand that it's kind of hard picking and choosing, but with I know with HBO that HBO Max that just came out. Have you subscribed to HBO Max or are you
I'm
watching?
sus man, I'm subscribed to just my Netflix and Disney Plus. I don't plan on buying another streaming service no time soon. I'm already running on two streaming services. I don't need to be spending another cent on a third one. I need to save because that's gonna run a lot of money out of my pocket.
Right, I agree. It I'm I have it, but I just recently moved into a new house. Me and my family just recently moved to a new house like last month or so. So we get our first 3 months for free
Oh.
of HBO Max, but I'm not the one paying for it. I'm completely fine with it. But after the first 3 months, if we're satisfied with it, then that's when we start the payment. But the only thing I pay for is is not HBO Max, but Disney Plus. My mom pays for Netflix just because when she originally put her card on, when she originally started first paying for it, I didn't have a job. So
Ain't
we
that
never switched to it's been I think 7 years already and we still haven't switched cards out on Netflix and they just increased their price on Netflix like what like $7 to like $14 a month.
Yeah, I remember when it was just like when it first started out, it was only like what, $8 a month.
Yeah,
That's crazy. And now they have multiple plans where you can just watch it in like basic plan, HD plan, and they have a DVD plan. I'm in the middle. I just stick with the HD plan.
right. What are you currently what are you currently binge watching anything on Netflix right now or anything just in general?
Netflix. I've been binge watching the entire Power Rangers franchise since the beginning of the year. I'm trying to get finished with Voltron Legendary Defender because I started that last year. I finished pretty much the whole half of the first four seasons last year. Now I'm trying to finish off with the last two seasons, and it's Voltron is interesting. It's different. Of course, it's not like, Voltron Force that was on Nicktoons, and it wasn't like, the OG Voltron show, which I've seen a few snippets, episodes of. It this Voltron iteration takes itself and makes it its own. It tries to appeal to all audiences. I mean, all audiences. They try to make sure every, you know, representation counts in the show, and I'm like, okay, okay, that's fine. It's not bad. It's just I don't really have a problem. It's just one character I just really just bugs me a lot. And but other than that, I still like the show. I still like it for what it is.
Right. Um, like currently I have not seen the show until just now. There's a lot I need to catch up on, but I'm currently watching Smallville.
Oh, I have yet to finish that show. I started watching Smallville back in my high school years, and I remember before I started my senior year of high school, I binged through seasons, I think three, all the way to season nine. That entire summer, I was binging through all of Smallville. And I'm surprised. I was like, dang, I made it through all these seasons that fast. And then once I got to season nine, I just stopped and I just like, oh, I forgot everything that happened up to that point. All I just remember is that General Zod shows up in season nine. Crud. That's a,
Yeah, I'm the reason I've gotten into it is my dad has all of the seasons on DVD.
oh, you lucky. You
Yeah,
lucky.
he loves it. But I'm not. I'm watching it on my Fire Stick. Um, and my cousin is also a big fan of it, and we talk a lot together. And he's gotten me into the show. I'm currently on season 2. I had to review season 1 first to keep it fresh in my memory before I went on to season 2. So I haven't watched season 2 yet, but so far I enjoy it. It's really fun. But my biggest gripes with it so far is the the theme music is so terrible. You can
What?
so
Yo, the theme song
so
is the best part of that show. Come on. I
it
love
is
that theme song.
thousands. I mean, I have to skip it every time I hear it.
Yes, it's in the 2000s, but I love that theme song. You can't deny that theme song is fire. But I guess for me, the show didn't really start, getting good for me until I got to like season four. I didn't.
Mhm.
Once I got one, like season one, two, and three was just like, this is. It's basic, villain of the episode esque. I'm like, the only reason why I started watching Smallville is because there's so many live action iterations of DC characters that show up in the show. I know like there's Green Arrows in it, Aquaman's in it, Cyborg's in it, um, Impulse is in it. I'm just like Black Canary's in it. I'm like, you know what? Let me give this show a shot. And it's not that bad. It's actually pretty good. It's just some characters overstay their welcome.
Right. And I cannot. I know there are team ups in this series.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait till I see those team ups.
Oh,
Like I
you're gonna like them. Some of them I could say are better than others, but they're well worth the watch.
like Zatanna, she's one of my favorite DC characters and one of my favorite Justice League members. I know she appears in the episode. Um, I know, I believe Supergirl appears in a few.
She's
Aquaman.
she stays yeah, Supergirl appears for I think what 2, 3 seasons, and then she dips and then she comes back around like the final season.
Mm, but the the background, the CGI and stuff. I get it. It was early 2000s,
Yeah,
and
that show had a big budget.
I mean, compared to the following CW superhero shows I would follow, like The Flash and Supergirl and stuff. Uh, those show Smallville had nothing on those shows. I mean, sometimes when I'm watching, I'm like, oh, if I could tell if something's a green screen, I'm just like, oh,
Yep, I'm like, yeah, that's a green screen effect.
yeah. Especially with and one thing I didn't realize, I don't know if you may have noticed this, but Amy Adams, who plays Lois Lane and Man of
Yep,
Steel, was in the
was all
episode.
yeah was also an episode. I was like, whoa, Amy Adams is in the show too. I was like, wow, so she was pretty much in part of the Superman legacy already. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I have a huge crush on her, and I think it's kind of ironic because she would later play. in a Superman movie as his love interest.
Right.
But I was like, when I was watching it, I was like, wait a minute, she looks familiar. Who is she? And with the whole DC thing that they're rebuilding DC or whatever on HBO Max, and it feels like this time they actually have a plan because the first time around it just felt like they were going through the motions. And in my opinion, I think they pretty much killed everything going forward when Dawn of Justice came out.
Right.
So what's your take on Zack Snyder and with his movies and how he sees his characters and the DCEU overall?
I feel, of course, I know with Dawn of Justice at that time, a lot was riding on that movie because they teased so much. Zach was trying to build up so much hype. Be like, yo, this is pretty much our start of the Justice League because we never really gotten a live action Justice League movie. So everyone was pretty hype. Of course, a lot of people were very saying like, yo, this movie's gonna suck. I am one of those people who loved it, the extended cut, not the theatrical cut of the movie. But Zack Snyder's, decision and his filmmaking technique, it's different. And it's, of course, like you said, he's a big fan of, the Dark Knight Returns story. So I'll give him credit for that. But I know with the whole the way how Justice League happened and how he had to, step away from directing and Josh Whedon had to take in, and that pretty much botched the entire movie. So the fact that, we're getting Zack's official vision of Justice League, I'm like, okay. Because trust me, I was one of those people that was like, yo, this Snyder Cut thing is not going to happen. Just stop. I know you guys want it so much, but it ain't gonna happen. And then when it was announced that it's gonna happen, I'm like, okay, you guys got me. You have a reason to celebrate. The fans won. The fans won. I appreciate that. So it's gonna be interesting to see, Zach's official vision for Justice League, but the DC extended universe as a whole, I know it's trying to fix some things, but now ever since the whole Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover happened last year, it just like, oh, so pretty much we have free reigns to like, do whatever we want, bring in whatever past actor to, appear in this movie. I'm just like, okay, okay. If you're gonna do that, do it right. Don't be fan service. Just don't do fan service because that's strictly what the Crisis on Infinite Earth was. It was basically fan service. All these cameos that you had in there, having Burt Ward in there, having the guy who played Knox in 1989 Batman movie was in there, which I didn't know that was him. I was like, whoa, I didn't expect that. Having Huntress from Birds of Prey in the crossover, I'm just like, all right, y'all just being very fan servicey. I can see that's what y'all doing. There's no interaction with them or anything. Having Kevin Conroy in as like a broken Bruce Wayne, which was nice to see, but again, fan service. You have two ways of doing it. You have one way is to make sure you do it right, or you're doing it the fan service way. You gotta find a way to do it right.
Right, I agree, and I think the biggest problem with Zack Snyder is that he doesn't really understand comic book fans, and that you can't. Um, the Dark Knight series was great, but that worked for that character. You can't just try to do that with Superman because Superman is not a dark character. Superman is like
Nah, he isn't.
all American, all American Boy Scout. He says he helps old ladies across the street. He rescues cats from trees. He's that type of superhero. He's not out there snapping people's necks and all that crap. And I personally, I loved Man of Steel. I did enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
There are some problems with it, but like with the destruction of Metropolis, I would have been completely fine with it if it would have had repercussions if he had repercussions to his actions, like the Avengers did in the first Avengers and Age of Ultron,
Mm.
that came back to bite them in Civil War, when they realized that stuff that they're doing is actually hurting people, hurting innocent people, like that lady that told Tony because of the fight in, I think, New York.
It
Um,
was Sokovia.
yeah, because of that fight, she lost his son. Um, I think if it would have had repercussions like that, then the destruction of Metropolis would have been perfectly fine. And the sequel pitch that I had was because of his actions, the city of Metropolis start to, you know, be afraid of Superman. They're wondering if they can trust him or not. So he tries to gain their respect and their trust back. And because of the destruction of Metropolis, that actually causes um, the villain to become a villain, and that villain
Right.
is Tallow. And during the fight inside, one of the buildings falls on him, and Lex takes him to be rebuilt as Metallo.
Yo, that's a good
Metallo,
pitch.
yeah, and that's why Metallo hates Superman because of
He ruined
his
his life. He took his life away.
yeah. And I think it would have been better off if they would have started with solo movies first and then Justice League, then you would have had more expectations going into the movie because they only did three at that point, and they tried to shove everything into Dawn of Justice, which was my problem.
Yeah, yeah. Sadly, it was a rush. It was a rush, franchise. They pretty much they tried, they were trying to play catch up, which they shouldn't have been trying to play catch up. They should just took it one step at a time, and they would have gotten their perfect grounding. They would have got their perfect franchise. But them trying to be like Marvel, it's just like no, you can't just copy and paste what Marvel did. You can't just skip everybody and just bring everyone together in just one big movie, and then the next movie you bring the team together. You gotta in increments. Everything works better in increments, not just a rush product.
Right. Like if everything was going perfectly fine, and I don't think Christopher Nolan even wanted to be a part of those because, like I said, Christopher Nolan is not really a big superhero guy.
No, he isn't. Because trust me, every interview I see, everyone says like the Dark Knight trilogy. It's not a superhero movie. It's more of a realistic take kind of story.
Right. Like the way I tell people is I don't think the Dark Knight you can look at the Dark Knight series as a superhero movie, but I don't look at it that way. I just look at it as um uh like a crime drama with comic book characters in them.
Right. Yeah. Sorry
And
about that.
um and with um going into something else into Power Rangers. Are you big? I'm not big on collecting, but are you big on any of the like toys and merchandise and stuff like
I I can't
lightning
really
collecting?
I can't really collect anything now. I probably can't collect anything until I have my own personal place to live and everything. But looking at those lightning collection figures, I know people are angry at some of them. Some of them, I mean, me when it comes to toys, I don't care about detail. But if you get like the smallest detail, like how the problem that they had with the White Ranger helmet, I was like, yeah, that's a problem. I don't know why people thought it was okay to ship that out because that's not supposed to happen. If you look at the box art and you look at the figure and you see the paintings missing, you're like, yeah, y'all can't be doing that. No one's gonna want to buy that. And I know some people had a problem with the Jason figure saying that the helmet looked so compressed because I'm looking at the helmet. I was like, why does the helmet look like it kind of got squeezed?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that is kind of a problem. Someone has, I mean, I know they haven't fixed that issue. Most people don't think it's an issue, but looking at it, like, it is a detail issue. A lot of people care about detail. A lot of people care about perfectionism and precision when it comes to, figures and getting the actual detail right. Me, I'm okay with it, but if it's not gonna match the way how I see it in, like, on the screen or on the box, then yeah, I'm gonna question it.
Right. And with Hasbro taking control ever since they've bought it, there's been a real big change. But how do you feel about Hasbro with the property? Because I feel they can do great things with the product.
I mean, we have yet to see them make their mark. This is pretty much, this is, again, we're pretty much, this is still year two for Hasbro, so they haven't really done anything big or grand yet. I mean, with the toys, they seem, some toys seem to be hit or miss, and releasing, versus packs. They're making monster toys now, but they have something. It's just they haven't really got it done yet, because when Bandai still had the toy rights, they were pretty much, we can say, like, the legacy collection. The legacy figures were kind of hit or miss because not a lot of people like the way the female figures look, which it kind of looked a little kind of too weird.
Right.
But overall, I guess, I know Bandai, they were really going, like, they were making role play items. They had morphers, they had the power sword, the dragon dagger, the Zeo power staff. I mean, the golden power staff. I was like, huh. And I was like, man, I wonder what's happens when we get to, like, turbo roleplay weapons. Are we gonna get those or are we not? Which sadly we didn't. So for now, of course, with Hasbro, they're kind of slowly bringing in roleplay weapons. I know they made a new dragon dagger. It looks, you could tell it's very plastic. I've seen toy reviews of that dragon dagger. It's nice that you get to actually play it. I find that nice, but if you don't have that die cast gold on it, it doesn't make it feel like, it looks like, it really makes it look like it's just a toy. While the Legacy Dragon Dagger had that die cast gold on it, it made it look show accurate. So I understand that people want things to be show accurate, but not all the time we're not going to get show accurate things.
Right. And with speaking of the show, the current series, Power Rangers Beast Morphers, um, it's been a year since I'm really enjoying this series more this season more than the previous series, just because it feels like all the episodes are in line with each other. I felt like last season it was kind of like this. Like
Mm-hmm.
last season, I felt like there was a lot more filler. If there is, whenever there is filler in this season, it feels like it actually matters. If you know what I'm saying. So, how do you feel about the current season Beast Morphers so far, and what were your initial thoughts on it?
Well, I'm gonna be ending up rewatching Beast Morphers anyway again this year. But season one of Beast Morphers, it felt like, it had some promise in the beginning. And, like, how they, it was like, it felt like an actual story, how, slowly getting the Zords and everything. I don't think they didn't get the Zords until, like, I don't think, what, episode 3 or 4, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I like how, they didn't give them the Megazord right in, like, the second episodes, because usually a Ranger team gets the Megazord in, like, the second episode, but I kind of like how they gave it time, and I like how slowly, Nate became a Ranger and how Steel came to be. I find that good, story detail, great storytelling. Season two, it's season two is pretty hit or miss because the underutilization of Roxy and Blaze happens a lot in season two because, you had them in a coma for, the first season, so why not show them what they're doing in the second season? Like, hey, you guys are free from your coma, so what are you guys doing? I know Roxy and Ravi, you're a couple. Let's see more of them in a couple. I know we only got like one episode showing them as a couple, and we only had like one focused episode of human Roxy, and we barely get to see anything of Blaze either. So the fact that these two characters are pretty much underutilized again so much, it kind of hurts them. But I do like how I like the build up for the dinosaurs for the Dino team up that was pretty interesting. Like it crossed from the Gavin team up from Go Busters, which they call him Captain Chaku. Gotta make sure I remember that name. So they got with Captain Chaku, they had they teased they brought in the putties, they brought in the Triptoids and everything. I was like, oh, so y'all starting from way back there, and then you slowly bring in the Dino Charge Rangers, and you have like a villain focus episode of them trying to figure out which villain of them they want to bring back, and then you move it into the team up. I'm like, okay, because usually when an official team up happens in a Ranger seasons nowadays, it's only 30 minutes and you can only get but so much. When you try to squeeze in so much, it becomes such a rush production. You barely see any interaction between any of the Rangers because to me, team ups are meant to be just two parts. You could do
Right.
you have so much freedom to get something done when you have a two-parter team up. If you have just one episode that's just 30 minutes, you can barely get anything done with that.
Right. The only time I feel like it should be more than two is if you bring in, if it's like a legendary battle type. I feel legendary battle type or dimensions in danger. I feel like it should be at least like a 3-part episode.
So that's it. That I could agree with that.
Like I'm not sure if you've finished Beast Morphers already. Have you finished it?
Yeah, man, I've been finished with Beast Morpher since, the international airings. I was watching them with everybody else. I was not waiting until September for it to come back. I'm like, I've done it with every Neo Saban season. I'm not waiting anymore. I want to watch these seasons now. I'm not waiting.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I feel like this season did not disappoint. This season was a lot better than last season because I feel like I said, one thing I love about Beach Morphers that I wasn't expecting was it has a lot of original footage. I didn't.
Yes, yes, it
Uh,
did.
they did use Japanese footage every now and then, but Chip is very strict when it comes to original footage. He doesn't
Mhm.
use a lot of Japanese footage unless it's necessary to the story, or if he likes the effects he'll use it.
Right.
But the I know a lot of the in suit fights were original footage. A lot of the Megazord fights were original footage, which I think we haven't seen in all season original footage since RPM,
Yeah.
and that was 11 years ago.
Yep.
And I do agree with you with Blaze and Roxy. It was very disappointing that we didn't get more focus on them because I mean I was expecting that we would have gotten more centric, got to know more of their personalities and stuff like that with this season, but we only got a couple of episodes or maybe like one scene, and that was it really.
Yeah, yeah. Cause I mean, I don't know what it is, but I guess another problem that I have with, just unexplained detail, because a lot of people didn't like, when Steel became human. It just, and I just thought back to Operation Overdrive with, the Pinocchio story, and
Right.
also the musical episode that where Nate and Steel swap bodies. I, for one, I don't like body swapping episodes. I really, really don't like body swapping episodes. It really bothers me. But
Yeah.
I guess season two, it's very hit or miss. It depends on who you ask. I appreciate them incorporating so much Ranger legacy in Beast Morphers. I didn't expect them to go that far.
Right.
Them appreciating like the entire legacy of Power Rangers, especially in the first episode of season one, where the mayor mentions Rita, Sledge, Galvanax, and everything. I'm like, okay, we got something here. They're actually acknowledging continuity here. That's good. We need that.
Right. And I felt like that's when they started, when Super Ninja still did Dimensions in Danger. I feel like that's when they started doing it, just because I felt like after the backlash they got from the season finale of Dino Supercharge, they were like, "Oh, we have to fix this."
Yeah,
So I felt like that's why they did what they did in Dimensions in Danger by explaining the different dimensions. And Dino Charge takes place in a different dimension the than the main dinosaur teams.
right,
I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. At least you guys are actually explaining it.
right.
And with Beast Morpher, with the Dion team up, what were your feelings about that? What how I mean, how would you rank it to compare to previous team ups?
Well, first of all, I had a feeling that team up was gonna be the fight was gonna be pretty much the Sentai footage because I was like, I know where this is going. I know where this is going because Jason came in, but barely got any explanations, barely got to interact with the team. I'm like, your this is pretty much your main predecessor. This is your elder right here. If it wasn't for him, y'all would not be Rangers. So I'm just like, shouldn't y'all at least just talk to him? Have Jason actually come up with a plan, give him, background and everything. But no, he just shows up. He comes through the portal with Devin to the Dino Charge Earth. What bugs me is how Tyler was like, "We don't have time for introductions." I'm like, "Do you know who you're talking to?
Right,
Do you know who you're talking to right here, man? This is your head Tyranno Ranger right here. If it wasn't for him, you wouldn't be here." So
right,
that's one thing that bothered me. Of course, I'm not mad that they couldn't get every single. I knew they couldn't get every single Ranger actor to come back because if it's not look, if the money is not hitting for them, they're not gonna come back. And I know the only reason why Austin St. John came back is because Chip said this was his last run.
right,
So that's the reason why Austin came back. I appreciate him, being honest and saying like, hey, if Chip is gonna do it, then I'll do it. So I understand that for him. But I know they had to, find a way around, adding voices for Ranger actors who weren't there, having, just incorporate Sentai footage and everything, not having interactions with, teams it up. It was small. It pretty much was like, Dimensions in Danger, where we kind of pretty much got interaction from all these legendary Rangers. And here you have, you know, Rangers from two seasons ago, or like two teams ago, interacting with the current team, and you have one legendary Ranger from the very beginning barely interacting with them. So I was like, to compare the past team ups, it's still at the bottom. It's still at the bottom. I mean, the build up was, the lead up to it was nice, but it's just the team up itself. It could have been better. It really could have been better.
right. I do. I think that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the first team up with no, I mean not the first team up. The second team up with the Dino Rangers. The third team up with all of them together. It was okay, but I was like, hold up, that's it? If I was in the movie theater, I would have been like, I want my money back. Like Austin just pops up. Oh, nice to meet you guys. It's morphin time. Oh, see you later. Carry on the legacy. Like that's it.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, because I remember the night before the episode, appeared on the internet. I was like, look, whatever happens, happens. Some of us may be happy with what we got. Some of us may be disappointed with what we got. Me, I'm happy we got to see another team up happen because remember after Legendary Battle happened, well heck, even after Legendary, um, we haven't had like a decent team up because like I said, team ups to me have to be 2 episodes long. Can't be
Right.
just one. I mean, I know Dino Thunder not Dino Thunder, SPD kind of had 2 team up episodes, but it happened at different occurrences. But a
Yeah.
team up really needs to be 2 parts. If something like this with, many different Dino teams, I pretty much agree with what you said. It needs to be like three parts,
Right.
but you gotta have, you gotta have multiple parts. You can't just do something in just a span of a 30-minute episode. That's pretty much rushing things. You gotta have the interaction. You gotta have the planning. You gotta have them the team explaining something. Heck, you even gotta have like a past villain come back. You gotta have something. You gotta anything that you had with this previous team that's coming out to help out the current team. You gotta bring in all aspects. If I was bring in a past villain, have the past team interact with the current team, and of course have a good team up fight. Don't make the fight just a rush product of just footage. We don't want to see that.
Right. Right. I completely agree. And that was the huge problem with the Megaforce uh war is that it was complete
So,
Sentai footage.
yeah, I was so disappointed with that. So
Even when the Rangers dislike their own season, that's a huge problem.
oh yeah, especially when it wasn't even their fault. It wasn't
Right.
their fault because I remember I was one of those people where I felt like I was trashing Super Mega Force so bad that I felt like it was the cast's fault. Now I'm like, it's not the cast's fault. It's production team's fault. The
Right.
cast was just, they were just working with whatever they have. It's not their fault. They didn't contribute to the problem.
Right. I I would say that that Dino Thunder is definitely the closest thing to MMPR than Samurai or Megaforce or any of those other seasons that they tried to emulate MMPR.
Right, right.
And with the Beast Morphers Dino team up, I think this the I think that this is the first time we've had 3 team ups in a season since maybe what in space. The
Yeah, yeah, with Countdown to Destruction. I feel like because doing a team up like that is big, and watching the Sentai movie of that team up, the Go Busters, they barely they barely team up with the Kyoryugers in that movie. That movie was basically just centered around just the 3 Dino teams.
yeah,
Sure, the Go Busters and the Kyoryugers did, they did fight together. They did team up for a bit, for a moment, in and out of suit, which I liked. But the main focus point of the movie was just around the three Dino teams.
right. And I went back and rewatched that team up after I finished watching the Beast Morphers team up with the Dino Rangers, and I was like, this is way better than theirs.
Right.
I still like the Beast Morphers uh Dino team up. I wouldn't say that it was uh I would put it maybe in the middle if I would have ranked the team ups, put it like maybe in the middle. I wouldn't put it at the bottom, but I wouldn't put it at the top either. It's just
Yeah.
kind of yeah,
Yes. Yeah. It's very in between.
yeah. Like I know the reason like James and Emma they couldn't return because they're union now and Power Rangers is non-union and
Right.
if
Right.
you break your union then you're not going to get any work.
Right. Right. So whatever. if trust me, I feel like Power Rangers should step into that, I feel like they should step back into that union phase because they could get more quality content and
Right.
more quality, not saying the people who they hire can't act. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that this could give more permissions for people to come back
Right.
because
Took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say. I feel like they need to. Even David Yost said in an interview one time that he thinks they should go union. All they have to do is sign a piece of paper.
it's you
Uh,
just go union and you could give like, quality content again because thinking back to what Chip Wynn said this at a panel back at Power Morphicon in 2018. He said that during the post Zordon era that they lost their way when it came to their storytelling. I'm like, what do you mean lost your way? You were giving quality storytelling. You were giving top notch storytelling. You're giving seasons with, you were giving compelling stories, compelling characters. You made the story very interesting. You gave so many twists and turns. You gave us drama. You gave us so much. I'm like, what do you mean lost your way? It's just now, if anything, you just pretty much nerfed your content. You pretty much nerfed your content to what you were doing back in the early 2000s, late
right.
90s, early 2000s, early 2000s.
Right. And I forgot that he said that until you just mentioned it. And when I originally first heard that, I was insulted by that because I was like, dude, those seasons that you worked on were great. Wild Force was depending on who you talk to, it was okay.
Wild Force depends on who you ask. I mean, I loved Wild Force for what it was.
But I feel like that season is mostly remembered for its team ups rather than the actual story.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it was still an okay season, but I mean, I feel like when it comes to Wild Force, people mainly talk about reinforcements from the future and Forever Red.
yeah, yeah.
And with the going back to the Dino team, one of my biggest gripes was with um, a lot of people. One of my biggest gripes with the fandom, not with the fandom, but with some of the Rangers, is that they don't really. It seems as if they don't really care about the franchise, or they don't really care about the fans. Like Amala Hanna doesn't really accept being a Ranger. A lot of fans ask her about it, and she's
Yeah, because
completely
they pretty
blunt.
much yeah, because they pretty much drove her away with the whole, calling her by her character name. I'm like, you realize you got to separate the actor from the show. That's just their job. That's not their real name. I just feel like if you read the opening credits, it says Emma Lahana as Kira Ford. Kira Ford is not her name.
Right. Like shoot, I call Chris Evans. I don't call him Captain America. Like when I watched Knives Out, I was like, oh, this Captain America. No, I was like, no, that's Chris Evans.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, I guess when it comes to like, separating the character from the actor, I know it's hard, but you got to understand the reality is these people they don't want to be remembered just by one thing that they done. They have a career, they have other interests that they want to do. So they don't just want to be remembered by just this one thing. Some people may want to, because like Brendan Mahia, he's so popularly widely known as Tyler that everyone loves him as Tyler, and that's cool. Austin St. John, everyone loves him as Jason, JDF, Tommy Oliver, everybody loves him as Tommy, but no one really, knows their works outside of Power Rangers. Me, I've seen some of the Rangers act outside of their, Ranger roles. I've seen Sally Martin, who played Tori. I've seen her in, she was in Wendy Wu. Same with Anne Hutchinson. She was also in Wendy Wu. Um, Serena Vincent, she was in Not Another Teen Movie, even though that movie sucks.
I I watched that movie yesterday.
I was just like, why is she stark naked in this entire movie? I'm just like, why?
Right. But I think I do agree with you. But even when you move on to other things, like Rose McIver is like RPM is one of the biggest, like most successful casts after this season. Like Ika, he's doing he was on Jessica Jones and
Right.
Empire and a few other stuff, but he still came to Power Morphicon 2016 or
Yeah.
2018, I
Yeah, it was
think,
2016.
because he loves he said he owes the majority of his life to Power Rangers, and he loves Power Rangers, and that it taught him a lot about the business. And same thing about Serena Vincent. It was her first acting job. That's why she still comes to the convention. She's done a lot of other stuff outside Power Rangers, but she still comes to the convention because she loves the fandom. But I feel kind of insulted and feel like it's a slap in not only my face but other fans' faces when Emma, treats her fans a certain way, or other Rangers treat their fans a certain way. And I get where they're coming from, but it's like we want to see you at the conventions. We want to shake your hand and thank you for being part of our childhood and sign an autograph, or we want to take a picture with you and tell us how important you are to us.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I just feel like it's kind of insulting to treat treat others the way you want to be treated. Is what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to find that equal footing where people just try to find a way to respect the actor and not just think of them as just a character. And it's just that equal footing that's hard to find, that I could say.
Right. Like, if they do go Union, I would love to see her come back. I would love to see her, James. I would love to see all the Dino Rangers come back.
I mean, I don't know if James will ever want to come back because I know he's basically making movies down in New Zealand, so he's living his best life. So if he's, moving on from being an actor to now making his own productions, I feel like, you know what? Do you, man? The ball's in his court. It's in his court, whether he wants to or not.
Right. But I mean, I think if it's the right storyline, or the right storyline, the right time, I think I'm not ruling it out. Anything's possible. Um, uh, no one thought we'd ever see ASJ back. That was the first time we saw him since Forever Red.
Yep.
And with the next season, of course, is going to be uh, dot with Power Rangers Dino Fury. Um, with them skipping, they've skipped over what, four Super Sentai seasons already. Uh, I kind of wanted to see Tokuger. I think it's too early to do dinosaurs again. I get it. Dinosaurs are popular, but I'm getting tired of seeing dinosaurs.
If I want to watch dinosaurs, I'll watch Jurassic Park or Land Before Time.
Right. I I would have chose either Tokuger or Zooger, but with Tokyo just not one of my favorite Super Sentai seasons. It's really cheesy and corny. It's like I've said this in my Super Sentai review of the series. Is basically the Japanese version of Turbo.
I never would have thought of it that way at all, but that's fair. That's fair.
But I do love the elements of the series. Um, but the way I would have adapted it is I would have kind of make it like a light speed sequel. I would have, Rat Fisher return as like kind of the commander, And
That's not bad. That's not bad.
yeah, and the just like RPM and Lightspeed, the Rangers have uh separate jobs. They're grown adults and they have jobs before becoming Rangers. Um, just different ideas like that I had that I have. Like I have a whole notebook with my own Power Ranger adaptions from Super Sentai to Power Rangers that I would do. But what was your do you think that dinosaurs was the right choice? What would you have went with?
I really would have done Zoojer because suits are simple. It's basic. I know not a lot of people like the Zords because they're basically just cubes. I mean,
Right,
I don't. Yeah, I don't. The Zords are not that great. I mean, some Megazord designs are cool when they don't, tower upon each other. But I mean, the suits they could easily pull off. They could definitely pull off the suits and just do something with that. And yes, it's an animal season. I know they can't do. I knew for sure that when they skipped over Q Ranger, I felt like, okay, I think it's a good thing that they didn't do Q Ranger because that's a 12-man team to manage. So you would have to give development for everybody, but because even in Q Ranger itself, not everyone got fully developed. Not everyone got the development they deserved. Some people kind of got developed in in pairs, like two people kind of developed together, or someone got like a solo development. But Q Ranger would be a hard pill to swallow. And
right,
with Lupat, I didn't want them to do Lupat because that's two separate teams in one show. So that was just Sensei testing the waters to see how will we manage doing two teams at a time.
right,
And I find the concept interesting at first, but watching the show itself, it's one team is getting more focus than the other. I'm like, I don't see this passing as a Power Rangers show at all.
right. And with Q Ranger, a lot of fans were when they announced Beast Morphers as Ghost Go Busters as the next adaptation, and that they was skipping. A lot of fans were kind of hoping for Q Ranger. Um, I hadn't watched that season at the time. I can't remember what season I was watching, but I hadn't gotten there yet. But after I finished the season, I was like, what is so great about this series that you guys like? There's it reminds me of Core User. There's way too many Rangers, and it just feels like it's sloppy. It feels like it's all over the place. Like there may be 6 Rangers in one episode fighting. Next episode is 9. Next it's 4. Next it's 5. I mean, God, why you have so many in one show?
I guess it's because the gimmick, because that's the first Sentai I ever started off with 9 Rangers,
Mm,
and because Q Ranger pretty much the word Q means 9 in Japanese, so for them to actually like put because 12 Rangers is pretty much equal to 2 Ranger teams in one show.
right. And with the Dino Fury being the next season, I think that I saw the Super Sentai footage of that. I watched the entire series and it's okay, but I'm kind of the season kind of confuses me because I don't even know what the season is about. It doesn't really have a plot to it.
Yeah, it did like stump. It didn't really like have like a plot in the beginning, and then slowly like right around the middle it started to grasp itself. I mean, I do plan to rewatch the season again because everybody in the Toku fandom was hyping it up and like, yo, this season is go. I'm like, I don't see what's goat about it, but if you say it's goat, okay. But me, I don't see that. but I'll rewatch it again just to see what I may have missed or what flew over my head, and we'll see what happens.
Right. Like with me, I haven't watched the current series at all. I know they took a break for a while because of the pandemic, and I know they just recently started showing a few more episodes, but I like to wait until it's completely out until I watch the whole thing. And with like I'm going back and watching uh what was the season? Oh, I'm currently on 5 Men right now.
Oh, nice.
I haven't. I'm on episode 4. It's been like 2 months since I last watched it, just because I'm watching other things right now
Yeah,
and
I know that feeling. Yeah.
distracted. But I need to get back into it. But I plan on rewatching that. But watching that and going all the way to Arbor Ranger. Um, and so far, I think that just because I'm waiting for everything to complete by the time I get deep into other seasons, all the episodes of the current season will be out. But what are your favorite Super Sentai series?
Gokaiger, of course. That's hands down. Time Ranger definitely because it's different from Time Force. All the characters get development, but I still love Time Force because Time Force is still my number one favorite season. Um, I would say Decker Ranger. I love Decker Ranger because the Sixth Ranger actually has an actor, and again, everybody develops in that show, and it's of course is widely popular in Japan. Geki Ranger is another one. Geki Ranger feels like its own thing, but it feels like a live action Dragon Ball Z episode, like a Dragon Ball Z season. Like from the fights
Right.
to the rivalry, it feels like it's like a Dragon Ball Z fight. Bokenger definitely. Shinkenger, of course, way better than Samurai.
Who you
Uh,
telling?
um, shoot. If I had to give like one more, Jetman. Jetman's a great season. Even though we never
Mm,
got Jetman's a really great show.
the suits for that are really cool, but I don't know if this is true or not. But is it true that Time Force, all the episodes are just a direct copy of Time Ranger?
Not all a direct copy. Some character traits are pretty much the same. Some are different. Like, Jen's counterpart is the leader of her team. Wes's counterpart is just kind of pretty much the same. You know, Green's counterpart, Trippin, his counterpart is kind of the same because they're both aliens and they're both
Right,
smart. Yellow's kind of different. Eric and his counterpart are kind of the same, but a little bit. There's a few similarities. Like each character has a few similarities from their counterpart, a few. But as far as the episode wise, it's not exactly all copy and paste.
okay, because I know um, SPD. I think at least I counted, and I think at least like 15 of the episodes are just Japanese translated over the American. And personally, I'm not a big fan when they do that.
Hmm.
I like, I just like when they do original stuff, original ideas, instead of just. It's okay to take a couple of episodes here and there, but if it's a direct translation like how they did it in Samurai, I think it just hurts it.
Right? Yeah, it does. Especially
Like,
something that's strictly just Japanese culture.
right. Like some of my favorite seasons are actually some of the seasons you just named. I love Arbor Ranger. Arbor Ranger is really cool. It's darker than Dino Thunder, but they're my favorite seasons of each of theirs. Like Dino Thunder is my favorite Power Ranger season, and Alpha Ranger is my favorite Super Sentai season, but I can't pick which one's better because I love them both for different reasons. Because a lot of times the Super Sentai seasons, sometimes the Japanese is better,
Hmm.
sometimes the American's better, sometimes they're just as good, sometimes they're just as bad. And with Bo Kendra was also a really good one. I love that one. It craps on anything Overdrive did.
Yeah, it does.
RPM made, I think RPM definitely influenced Go Busters because Go Busters is just a Japanese RPM.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. It's, technology, a computer virus trying to take over the world and everything. Yeah, it is. Pretty much is. And it kind of how they did it in Beast Morphers, making Beast Morphers kind of like a sequel to RPM. It does make sense.
Right. And let's see, with Sinkidger, that one was also really good. I love that one. And Gokaiger and Zoojer, that one I feel like people sleep on that one.
I gotta rewatch Zoojer again because yeah, I feel like people do be sleeping on it. Because when I first started watching it, I loved Yamato as a character. Like really, I just found his character as a Red Ranger. He's great. And then watching the 4-part miniseries Psycho Battle, everybody was on the Yamato train when he was busting crap out of 3 Rangers in it was like 3 against 1, and he just pretty much mollywopped 3 Rangers in like so fast. I was like, yeah, Yamato's a goat. He's a goat.
Right. And with and there have been a few rumors going on, but I heard. But where do you think in the timeline Dino Fury is going to take place? Because they possibly hinted at it in Beast Morphers in one episode.
I really don't know where it's gonna take place. Again, like I always say, I just say surprise me. Just surprise me.
Like I definitely think that it possibly might take place in the timeline in the same universe as Beast Morphers. I don't know if Beast Morphers and RPM take place in the same universe, um, but I do think it will take place in the same universe as Beast Morphers. Just they kind of alluded to it in the episode with Zoe's brother,
Yeah,
which was pretty cool because you rarely see that nowadays. They only do that in the Japanese team up movies where they have the next season show up and then they just disappear.
right.
And with eh, child with TV shows, I know you do a lot of TV show reviews on your channel and stuff. What were some of the shows you watched growing up or still watch?
I got a long list. Most of those are from like the early ages of Cartoon Network, the 2000 years of Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, of course. I guess to be okay, let me say a little something about Disney Channel. I know Disney Channel pretty much started out differently. It had, it was just like Disney Channel itself was just called the Disney Channel before it became like a strictly a girl channel. It
Right,
wasn't really all just a girl channel. Yes, the shows kind of felt very girly, like Phil of the Future, That's So Raven, Lizzie McGuire. Yes, those shows felt girly, but if you actually sit down and watch them, they're not all that girly. They're not. And plus,
right,
they had a few shows that were also for they were pretty much those shows for everybody. Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. That's not a girl show. That's a cartoon. It's for everybody. Proud Family, a black centric kind of show. That's for everyone, especially people of color. That is not strictly a girl show. Lilo and
wow,
Stitch. That's a family show. Like really, there's so many aspects about Disney Channel that really doesn't make it. It's not just a girl channel because I know people like to call it was a girl channel back in those days. Really, in actuality, it's It's not.
And Brandy and Mr. Whiskers, I used to watch that. I used to stay up just to watch that show because I remember they used to air it in the morning at like 1 or 2 in the morning. I would stay up just to watch it, and then I would go to sleep. But I'm not sure if they have. I'm not sure if they have it on Disney Plus or
It's
not.
not. It's not on Disney Plus yet. Trust me. They have yet
Mm.
to add so many things on Disney Plus. Like Fillmore's not even on Disney Plus yet. I'm like, what are you doing? House of Mouse is not on Disney Plus yet. I was surprised that's not even on there. Um, Buzz Lightyear Star Command, that's not even on Disney Plus. I'm like, okay, y'all gotta do something. Y'all need to add more stuff. I know you're trying to be original, add all the original content, but you still got a whole library of cartoons to do.
Yeah, and sorry, I'm just charging my phone. But what on I'm currently watching like I know I'm happy that they're bringing back Proud Family because that was my show. So I'm so happy they're bringing that back. Let's see. I also loved God, Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Yes. I was watching all of Sweet Life on Deck during pandemic. I can honestly, I really imagine if they actually gave that show a third series of just showing the twins what they were doing in college. That would have been interesting to see.
Uh, Let me ask you this though: Sweet Life on Deck, Sweet Life, Zach and Cody.
I gotta go with On Deck. I mean, Zach and Cody is very hilarious. It's just there's no story in Zach and Cody. It's just a regular sitcom. On Deck, it had a story, and you see them. You see them grow up. You really do see them grow up.
And I feel like there's more like dramatic episodes.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the episode where he hurt Bailey's feelings because he made a play about her about
Oh,
the
that episode, I was like, oh, that's savage.
right,
I'm like, yo, that's the levels of petty.
right.
That's very
Uh
similar levels of petty.
what are some other ones? Good Luck Charlie. I love that one. Um God, I'm blanking. Uh, Sunny with a Chance.
Yep, that's another
Wizard
one.
Waverly Place.
Yep. I guess
Uh,
I could say, around that time, like around like the late 2000s going into the 2010s, there wasn't really like a black show on Disney Channel because
right,
Disney Channel around that's pretty much it was basically white at the time. There were no black shows. There were no black actors. I mean, we had Zendaya on Shake It Up. We also had Zendaya on Casey Undercover. But around
right.
that time, most of those shows would only just have like that one black character. That was
Right.
it.
And I think that I mean, with the best thing about this pandemic is that we're getting like Zoom reunions with a lot of the cast members. Like I just recently watched the Good Luck Charlie Zoom reunion that they did.
Oh wow, I did not even know they had that. Shoot.
Yeah, they did it on like the 10-year anniversary of the show a few
Wow.
months ago.
Wow.
And the girl that played Charlie, she's all grown up now.
I know she's gotta be like what 10 years old now? Because I know
Yeah,
when
I
she
think
started that
so.
she was just a baby. She was only just a
Right.
baby on the show. For real.
Yeah, I still find it weird how the whole family is blonde, but yet he has black hair.
Right?
And I you might have seen this one. Well, this one was Cartoon Network related, but I still watch this all the time. Ed and Eddie.
Oh yeah, of course. I was watching the Ed and Eddie, movie. That was like their series finale. I was like, wow, this movie went deep. Like it really
Right.
went deep on the characters and just showed, how far they come as, as individuals. Heck, even all the characters in that universe as a whole. It was a really great, ending.
Right. And I think that there's a lot of like dirty jokes that they slid in that I didn't realize as a kid. Um, like you really did feel bad for Eddie when you realized that his brother was a dick.
Yeah, yeah. And all
And
the
but
moments, yeah, all those moments where like he's just hyping up his brother, like, yo, he's like the best brother ever. Like, okay. And then you actually see him like, oh, he's really a jerk. Like, ouch.
right, like it's been uh 11 years and I still want to know what the scheme is that got them in trouble.
Oh yeah, they never really explained like what was the scheme of how everybody's so pissed off at him. Like, what did they do? All we see is that Naz has her hair like completely shade off.
Right,
Uh, I don't know. So many people were just like, it's like they couldn't take it anymore with the Eds.
right. But I loved how it affected them so bad that they were on the run, and I loved how in the movie it showed everyone trying to get to Eddie before it got to his brother.
Yep. And
And
just how they completely just come clean and just be like, yo, we screwed up. We are screwed up people.
right. And what they did to Double D, those pranks that they pulled on him, they were funny at first, but that last one, they went way too far.
Yeah, they did. And Double D
Uh,
was like, I can't take this anymore. I'm done. You guys gotta cut it out. I was like, wow. For a cartoon show, this went deep.
right. The first one was hilarious. The second one, that one was obvious. I mean, you didn't see that one coming. But the third one, I think they went too far because Double D is a clean freak.
Right.
And he was willing to risk um his life and forget that he's a clean freak just to save his best friend's life.
Yep.
But I mean, yeah, this was really fun. I learned a whole lot in almost this was supposed to be an hour, but um still I couldn't I mean it went to two because you know when you when you have the same common interests. I mean,
You get lost in conversation. Trust me, I've been in those many times.
yeah, exactly. Is there anything coming? Is there anything coming up in your life, like any acting stuff or
I
anything
mean,
that you're doing?
I'm not really acting right now because pandemic wise and everything. Um, but I've just been hitting back up my YouTube channel lately because I could say for me during this pandemic, this kind of, put me at a halt. I've had, creator's block where I'm just like, what am I gonna do? I don't know what to do. And it's hard. It's hard because really, like, I felt like during this pandemic, when I was putting up videos, I felt like nobody was watching me because one, when I first started this, I was just dedicating like part time to this because I was doing school and doing this at the same time. I couldn't I had to pick and choose what days I had to record. But now that I'm graduated from college, I pretty much have free time to do whenever I want. So now trying to find the consistency of when to do this, that's also a challenge because I try not to look at my viewership and see how many people is watching, and it's like the views barely even make it to like 100 views. I'm like,
Right,
it's depressing, but sometimes you just gotta just keep putting out stuff. People will see it eventually. People will see it.
right. And that doesn't come overnight. I mean, the most successful people, they always have to work for what they get.
Yeah.
But if you need, I mean, if you need anything, I'm here. If you need anything, or you got, if you have trouble with anything, I'm here to speak with you. And I hope the shoes on the other foot. Um, but it was great speaking with you and nerding out and learning all these things I didn't know about you. But for anyone that doesn't know, check out his YouTube channel, Blackwing2040. Any social medias that you want to give out, Instagram, Twitter.
Sure. You can find me on, of course, like on YouTube, Blackwing2040. Again, you can also find me at Blackwing2040 on Twitter and Instagram.
Okay, thanks very much for this interview. I hope we could do another one. Um, this was a lot of fun, and maybe we could do maybe like a maybe watch something together.
That would be
Maybe
great. That'd be great. I mean, I'm starting to do that on my channel as well because I feel like, you know, I think it'd be nice to add some channel commentary to some things. So, like, you know what? Let me try to do like watch alongs. Instead, I'm not calling it watch alongs. I'm calling it the segment sit and watch because
right like we could do Ed and Nettie or Teen Titans or whatever. It doesn't matter.
that'd be great, man. I mean, whenever you want to, just let me know.
Okay, thanks guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, not only to my channel, but to his channel as well. Follow him on all his accounts, on all his social medias. And I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.